Proximity also makes browsing a lot easier. Here's Walmart's landing page for electronics, TVs. Okay, I'm shopping for TVs and I go to Walmart and there's a lot to contend with here. All right. And there are lots of visual problems. There are lots of color issues, contrast issues, text issues. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. But what, again, I want to focus on is proximity. So what we've got right now looks like this. There's a million disparate elements all competing with each other because they exist at random intervals. Again, there's no balance here. There's certainly no rhythm here, as you can see. There's no harmony, and the proximity is all over the place. The gaps between the big TV images at the bottom, for example, and the description below them of that TV, there's a mile between those two things. There's nothing about that suggests one is related to the other. Those are the types of things you're looking out for that you need to fix. There are no obvious groups here. So if we take that and improve the negative space everywhere and tweak the proximity, we get something that looks like this. Immediate difference. And I'm going to show you these two side by side. But for right now, take a look at the difference here. Is it more obvious what goes with what? It is. Okay, I harped on the TVs down below in that bottom row. Down there, one of the things that we did is we simply moved the descriptions up so that they're closer to the bottom of those TVs. Now, the other thing that happened in terms of proximity is we changed the distance between those TVs as well so it's consistent. So you have a rhythm happening. TV description, TV description, TV description, TV description, TV description. That's rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. At the top, those blue TV icons with the yellow one at the end, there's rhythm there now as well. The text below it, and you'll see in a minute, I'm going to show you the old version again. There's a huge gap between the icon and the label, all right? But now we've got rhythm. If you go from icon to label, if you go from left to right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Same thing in all these navigation areas. The differences in proximity between all these things make a monstrous difference in how we perceive them as being related or unrelated. Everything here, all the changes we made, serve a very important purpose. They separate groups of related elements. So here's what we had, and here's what we've got. Now, aside from the fact that I cheated in two places and added a very light gray behind the add banner at the top and behind the filters in the center of the screen, I'll admit that that's a cheat, but I couldn't help myself. It was driving me crazy. It's like a disease. I just have to do certain things. What you'll see if you go from left to right is that changing those gaps, all right, and pulling things that are related closer together and moving things that are unrelated further apart makes a massive difference in sort of being able to get through this faster, right? Isn't it easier to scan? Isn't it easier to move from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next? You don't have to figure out what goes with what, you know. So again, if we abstract these to shapes, what we've got on the left looks like this. What we've got on the right looks like this, because the proximity of those things, we even moved these text areas closer together as well. The space between text, we made the left to right margins consistent. That creates shapes, and it creates a single shape instead of a bunch of shapes or a shape with a ragged edge. This is how the brain perceives things. The more you do this, the simpler the things in the visual field become. The easier it is for the brain to quickly go, okay, that's that, got it, that's that, got it, that's that, got it. So we went from a series of individual unrelated elements to a group of related information. We went from a very scattered navigation menu on the left. In this case, all those things are related to a category, which is shipping and pickup, to moving them all closer together so that they sit there as one category of stuff. This is all shipping and pickup. Why? Because it's all closer together and it's further away from the navigation below it. Same thing with the icons and labels I told you about across the top. We went from two disparate elements separated by distance to one element that holds together that says this describes this. The label describes the icon. Why? Because they're closer together. So UI design mantra number 11 is that you should always be striving to group and organize related content with proximity.